The doctor, the old saying goes, knows best. Even if the doctor tells you that you have cancer, that it is inoperable, that you have only months to live, the tendency is to believe the doctor. But that is not what Carl Proffer did. His story from Marlene Sanders.
Did we put it on the set?
I'm sure it was the outside way.
Yeah.
I just simply felt as if I had been struck by lightning, that it was a random genetic event. The worst thing that one can imagine is all of a sudden happen when you wake up one day.
And the doctor finally came in and we were all sitting there, and he said the news is bad. And then he said, it's a tumor, it's malignant, there's widespread. And I said, what is the prognosis? And he said, months, not years.
It was July of 1982 when Carl and Ellendea Proffer were told by local doctors that he was dying of colon cancer.
I simply could not accept it. Even if it were true that he was going to die in a week, and somebody told me that, I could not accept it. I just was not psychologically capable of it. So immediately, I began thinking ways out of this.
Carl, how are you?
Not bad.
Good.
Not bad at all.
A way out for the Proffers was found in Bethesda, Maryland at the National Institutes of Health, where Carl began a new experimental treatment.
Good. Great. Eating well?
Yes, too much.
Too much? Yeah, you gained a little weight. That's good. That's great.
Recovered from what you did, too.
Dr. Paul Sugarbaker is the surgeon in charge.
Not everything works. If we were sure it was going to work, there'd be no reason to do the experiment. So some people don't benefit from their treatments, and outside physicians know this, and some of them are hesitant to refer their patients for what they think would be, false hopes, a swing and a miss.
Isn't part of the NIH's problem that there is this kind of, quote, guinea pig idea that people are going to be parts of experiments?
Well, I have to admit to you that that is true.
Yet, in a way, what choice did he have? He had been given a death sentence.
That's true. That's true. And yet it took a lot of courage for him to go through all those treatments, and they weren't all fun.
Somebody's book was sent to us without one signature.
What do you mean?
The Proffers, both professors, live in the university town of Ann Arbor, Michigan. But it was no simple journey from there to the National Institutes of Health in Bethesda. 4 different physicians had told them there was nothing further that could be done for Carl, no place else for him to go.
I was still quite angry in retrospect because it seemed to me that someone who is at the top of his field should know the other people who are at the top of his field. And it seemed to me that that was the one thing that where my advice here was not what it should have been at all. They should have said, sure, why not? Call NIH, call Sloan Kettering, call Paris, call anywhere you can just to see. It won't do any harm. But they didn't do that.
They believed that they, in their situation, knew everything. They believed that they were experts. They didn't call Anderson Center in Houston. They didn't call NIH. They didn't call Sloan Kettering. They assumed that they knew everything that was going on in this huge medical field in this country. And the point is, nobody does. Meanwhile, I was very negative about accepting this idea that he would be dead in months, not years. And I began talking to people.
After dozens of calls, dozens of leads checked out, a friend came through with the news that they had been waiting for.
The next day, she called to tell us that there was this place and they would do that operation, that the surgeon had said that he was 90% certain that they would be able to do this operation that everyone else deemed too dangerous to take out this huge tumor which was wrapped around by the intestines. That's how we got to NIH, and there were no promises, but it was hope.
Hope is one of the byproducts of the National Institutes of Health. A part of the Public Health Service, its mission is to prevent, detect, diagnose, and treat diseases that have no known cures. Government funds pay the way for people like Carl Proffer, who are patients in current experiments.
The treatment plan that Carl underwent is very new. It's extremely new. It's less than a year old. I can't fault the physicians that took care of him. He received standard treatment in his hometown. I think the physicians there very conscientiously took care of him, and I think they thought there was really nothing else to do.
But you operated and they wouldn't.
Yes, we went ahead with we took surgery and pushed it absolutely as far as you can push it. And we took the chemotherapy and we pushed it absolutely as far as you can push it. Marlene, I'm not sure that you can do that sort of thing, say, in a community hospital. We have given him at least one more good year, and I hope we're going to give him many more years and months.
Do you think he'd be alive if he hadn't found you?
No, I think he probably would have died by this time.
As Russian books go, it's really pretty important.
Both Carl and Ellendea had been professors of Russian literature. Their publishing company began when they obtained the manuscripts of dissident Russians, which were slipped out of the Soviet Union. Work sustains Carl through 4 operations, pain, and uncertainty. Each month he lives is a gift, with no guarantee of how many remain.
Work. And we tell our children who are teenagers and don't understand yet that work is really important for many reasons. Because when something like this comes along, we lived almost a month with no hope, basically, other than what we could generate ourselves just psychologically. And we got through that month by working.
We've both written lots of books. I've written lots of books. I felt comfortable about that. I had made my career, as it were. And in the moment of facing death, I saw that that wasn't terribly important. I mean, I think I would have been unhappy if the reverse were true. It would be bad to be facing it and say you had done nothing in your life. But that wasn't what I thought of at all. The first thing was very simply, what is Ellendea's future, and what is the future of the children, particularly Arabella, since she's the sort of unshot bolt. The boys are all on the verge of becoming independent, so they're sort of set in life, or they're aimed anyway. Whereas Arabella is not, and Ellendea and I are used to being together pretty much all the time.
He can't stand the idea that he won't see her grow up.
And how about you thinking about your future, a possibility of having to be by yourself, or rather be with the children without him?
Well, I'm from an Irish family, and we survive anything. But it's terrifying.
You could do it.
No, I have no doubt. I just don't want to.
He feels rushed. He's trying to finish up a lot of things around the house and with the company. He feels unfinished business he has to get done.
Yeah, I think he feels like he has a limited amount of time, definitely. He feels like he wants to fit it all in. And I know for a fact that he appreciates life more because of what's happened.
When I think about dying, the only things that matter, again, are my wife and children. And again, especially the little girl, because it means she grows up without me, and that's a very frustrating notion, you know. And again, one of the things that this reprieve has given me is at very least getting her to 6 or 7 or 8 instead of dying at 5. And I think there's a big difference in the way she will remember me because of that.
Side up.
You're too heavy.
Okay, put me to do it.